to this computer. Okay. Welcome to Faith and Calm. This is class number 226 of Faith and Calm. And well, we are in the midst of Sukkot, and we're supposed to feel very faith and a lot of calm and a lot of simcha. And okay, it might be a little struggle. It's also work. It's also our avoda. So let's try and give some ideas, some inspiration, some concepts, and so forth. How it was done. Can you write your Hebrew name in chat in Siri, please? Don't interrupt the class. Okay, fine. Okay, I may do that. Yeah, later on. Good. All right. Anyway, that's we'll get it on the next invitation. I think that's the best way to do it. Okay. So what I was going to say. So here's something that I just heard. It's an upgrade of one of the Rebbe's sichas, and it pertains to this time of year. I asked earlier about Simchas Pesach Shoeva. And Simchas Pesach Shoeva is a holiday, a celebration that goes back to the time of the temple. And it was done every night of Sukkot in big ways on the Chol Hamoed days of Sukkot. Because again, you could do the bonfires and the music and the other kinds of things. Otherwise, the first night you can't do quite that much of the anthem. So the Simchas Pesach Shoeva, it says that the greatest scholars, the biggest rabbis, the Anshe Maisa and the Tzaddikim and the Hasidim, they used to go into the Beit HaMikdash, and they would after being busy the whole day long praying, they didn't sleep a single bit that night because there was the celebration that went on in the Beit HaMikdash, and they were jugglers, and there were flamethrowers, and all sorts of acrobatics and other kinds of stuff that went on the entire night long. And if you ask when people slept, they just would sort of lean on the person in front of you, and they would get their sleep in that way. So this would
And
go
the kids
on.
and everything went also, and they just stayed up.
Yeah,
Probably went.
We'll give
Right, it
some
was a
more of
whole
the
baby.
details. We'll give some more of the details about it, but it's very much like Crown Heights. I don't know if all the kids stayed up all the night, but it says that there were so many bonfires that were lit that women could actually check their wheat in their houses in Jerusalem by the light of the bonfires. And that's an interesting detail. It's actually brought in the Mishnah in Sukkot, and so it's also has to be a point that has to be understood, because you could have said a lot of other kinds of things could have been, how to describe how bright it was, but this was considered really a special thing. And it says Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel he juggled 7 flaming torches, and Rabbi Levi used to juggle 8 knives, and I think Rabbi Shmuel used to juggle 8 full glasses of wine. Most people can't even say Kiddush without spilling something, but he was able to juggle 8 full glasses of wine, and Abaya used to juggle 8 eggs. So this is quite a feat. And these are some of the biggest rabbis. And so, you say weddings too, people juggling, stuff like that. But this is all the source of it all. And we have to really understand why the biggest rabbis were doing this, and what was the joy of the Simchas Pesach Shoeva, and why specifically these kind of things, juggling. Why juggling? It's interesting. It's a nice entertainment. We do it.
What does it mean, actually, Hashueva? Base, I know what it means, Shueva.
Very good. Thank you. I missed that part. So what would happen is that each day of Sukkot, they would pour water on the altar. To get that water, they would go the night before, and at dawn, they would bring up water from a place called the Well of Shiloach. So for those people who have been to the city of David, you go down the steps in the city of David, all the way to the bottom, and there is a spring. And then you walk all the way back up the steps of the city of David, and you bring it to the temple. And it's got a good legs. Shweva means to pour.
Oh, thank
the pouring
you.
of the water. So
They were washing off the mizbeach from the
No,
stuff.
actually, no. You brought usually with altar with an offering. You brought wine libations, and but on Sukkot you brought water libations, whatever that means. Now I could go into that point too, but why water and why so much joy for water? But that would be distracting my topic for tonight. So I don't want to go into it another
It
topic.
wasn't for the purpose of cleansing.
It
It was,
wasn't.
it was an offering.
I
Yes.
didn't think so. I didn't think so.
Right.
But I just was thinking it must have gotten pretty dirty and they have to wash it in between.
That they did too in the
All
morning.
the animal.
Yes. They had a way of cleaning the whole thing out by diverting a channel there and then flushing the entire temple floor every day. So that they could do, but that was not what this was about. This was about it says with offerings you had to bring wine and you had to bring incense. In addition, Shnei Yisronim Solet and some every for the different offerings. So they brought water. The joy of the water is the water of the water of life. It's about being happy on something that not necessarily has to taste like wine. It's just basically be thrilled on the very fabric of life itself. But needs more explanation on that. So let's go into this juggling bit for a second. What is juggling and what is juggling torches all about? To do this, we have to understand what is the whole idea of light itself. Light, the Rebbe explains, light is a very important property. It makes things visible. If it's a dark room, you don't know what's there. So when you bring a light, you actually can understand and see what it is. Now, this is brought in Chassidus a lot as a metaphor because it's not only about physical being able to see, but it's also spiritually and intellectually being able to recognize that if we don't have light and we don't have illumination, then we don't even know it's a dark world. It's a dark world spiritually. It's a dark world materially. It's a world that conceals light in it. So then we have the idea. Then there are these concealments of light. What is a concealment? A concealment is something that eclipses the light, usually referred to as klipa, because it's just like in a food. There are shells, and then there is the nourishment inside of it. So the shells hide and they eclipse and they conceal that there's actually something tasty inside of it. So this world is compared to a shell because we don't really see the real purpose of life, the pleasure of life, the joy of life, and who we can possibly become. So all of that is related to light because light is godliness. And when godliness is apparent, when godly light is showing, when it's shining, then there is no place for depression. There is no place for sadness. There is no place for worry because we are in tune with the light. Now, from this, we can then understand what the whole business is of juggling of life. Because life is about this. They were doing this not because it was just interesting entertainment, but really trying to teach you an important lesson in life at the beginning of the year and to understand what is life all about. In life, there are times where everything is illuminated and we see who we are. We see who our potential is. We see how we were sent here to mitzaref the world, to refine the world, and to accomplish the world and not to be dragged down by the world. We were supposed to come into this world to be able to be beacons of light, beacons of hope, beacons of faith and calm, but beacons. And when we juggle, you go up, you reconnect to that level of what is the truth about who we really are and what we can actually become. And then, of course, the nature of the world is, yes, but if you're only always inspired and going up, you're not necessarily bringing it down into the world. So then you have to go down again. So life is this roller coaster or Ferris wheel where you are constantly working to try and go up and above and to see, meditate, pray. These are all moments in time, learning, where you're able to actually connect to a deeper truth. And that's a very good exercise in the course of the day. You have to do it every day, is to try and figure out, am I going to be ratcheted into my worries and fears for the whole day, day after day after day? Or can I at least spend 4 or 5 minutes a day trying to think about, I am in this unquenchable divine beacon, flaming torch of fire. That's what a Jew is. A Jew is a piece of godliness, and just like life doesn't die, therefore a Jew doesn't die. Oh, he's always alive and always inflamed. The thing is that you become eclipsed, you become contained within your vessels, and you think, you know what? After so many years, this is who I am, and I'm stuck, and I ain't going anywhere, and it just seems like life just keeps going on, and I'm not going anywhere. So Sukkot is the time where you can actually go out of those particular things and go out of who you are. And so let me explain by telling a personal story, maybe a little embarrassing, but it happened to me yesterday. So I was out there doing Mivsoyim, and it was really an amazing opportunity. Turned out that there were two different demonstrations pro-Israel in Boston, which is never happens. And one was at a conservative synagogue celebrating the death of Abiyaya Sinwar, which, you know, this is not liberal Boston, with kids and parents and everybody else, and then some their own private guards and so forth. And, you know, everybody wanted to be a proud Jew, so it was easy to get people to do Lulav and Esrog. And then I went down to Coolidge Corner, and there were all these people who were wrapped in Israeli flags and holding these big 4-foot Israeli flags and waving them and asking everybody who drove by to beep their horns and so forth, and including some non-Jews who were there. There was actually one of the famous ones a month ago. This guy was, his name was Scott Hayes, and he was national news in Newton because he was attacked by a rabid left-wing woke individual who ran across the street to attack him, and they couldn't get him off. And eventually, this guy was ex-military, and he pulled out a revolver and he shot him, and then he gave him first aid. And guess what? The prosecutor in Middlesex County did? Didn't arrest the Hamasnik. He arrested this guy. But there you go. I saw him. I got to meet him. And he's a very big supporter of Israel, and he's out there again supporting Israel. Anyway, so I'm there. I'm having a fantastic time because every time I want them to shake the lulav, their hands are busy with the flag. So I took the flag and I'm going 1, 2, 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3 to the left, and they're going the lulav. And I mean, there were pictures all over the place, you know, of the Chassid and the Russians and so forth doing this thing and so forth. And I was flying and flying, but I do have a 68-year-old body, and by the end of the day, I could barely walk back up and down the street. So I was really tired. So this is the nature of life. So I went into the butchery to buy some things for my wife. She had given me some things to buy, some cheese and so forth, and some avocado, for a guest and so forth. And so I had all this stuff in my hand. So I put down the esrog in the cheese thing because I was trying to call her on the phone to see if this cheese would be okay. And I left my esrog in the display case.
In the cheese cabinet.
The cheese cabinet. Now I don't have a car, so as soon as the Uber took me back home, I only got this new verb of energy, and I went right back with another Uber and paid the price for that too. And I got back there; it was still not closed. I get to the display case, and I can't find the esrog. Can't find it. And I'm talking to the guys. Did anybody return? Because everybody knows everybody there. I called the
It's a Jewish store. So
can't find it's a Jewish store and so forth. But there's a lot of Spanish people there. And somebody suggested maybe it went to the lemons. So I go over to the lemons. Yep, it was in with the lemons. But the piton.
So funny.
But the piton was broken.
What? Oh.
The piton was broken off. Probably the person decided, that was a blemish, it wouldn't sell well, and broke it off and so forth because they're pretty strong. So that was that. So life is like now this is a minor thing in life, and stuff like that. But it taught me an important lesson about the Ferris wheel of life and about the ups and downs and about the flames and everything else. That 10 minutes, half an hour earlier, I was flying on, beyond my level, and then life goes that the other way, and then you have to go back and you have to say, you know what? I think I got a great story to tell for my Monday night class. So God was actually preparing me to give me a lesson, a class. and he gave me a story, and it's,
But
it's my fault.
where did you get your new esrog from?
So I went that night to the Simchas Beis Shoeva here in Boston that Rabbi Rutkin was doing, and I asked him, and he said, "Yeah, I have some spare Israeli ones.
Begged him, right?
Not going to be the $350 Calabria that you got, but they're kosher, and it looks nice. It's an Israeli esrog. It's like a $50 esrog. So that's what I was using today." So
No, you're
there
doing
is
the
life.
mitzvah with
There is my
wonderful.
story. And I realized that, God is just giving me a story. This is better than anything else. And he's the one who basically made me so tired and forget what I was doing. Although I am shlemazel, but there I am. It's I learned a lesson about being a shlemazel, and that is never let your tiredness ever throw you off track. It's not worth it because you found out I had not much energy anyway. I thought I was on my last legs and going to collapse there. And then I saw I had more energy than I could possibly do because I was racing back to the butchery again. So there you go. So we have
the only reason
we
you
have
put it
more
down.
fire. My lesson is we have more fire in ourselves, more capabilities than we know. And you know what? And when it's put to the squeeze, it comes out, so we have to realize that all the time, that there's something inside of us that can really transcend whatever situation it is. And you know what? It's there. And sometimes you just need a little knock on the head and you go, oh, yeah, I can do this. I have more capabilities than I wanted to. So I thought it was a good lesson and I thought it was good for the class. And with that,
It is, but the only reason you put it down.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. The only reason you put it down is because you were calling your wife to make sure you got the right cheese. So
and I didn't,
not like you're
because she wasn't home. She was out doing tashlich.
No, it was fine. But listen,
oh, I didn't do tashlich either.
See,
you haven't
there we
go. Wednesday's the last day for tashlich.
But that's the reason why you're not whatever you called yourself. That you put it down because you had to call her and you wanted to get the right cheese.
Yes.
Yep.
So you
ask Hashem, and I'll go back and hear this.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. So
you had school today, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I have it even Wednesday. I have it every day.
I believe you.
Yeah. So okay. Does anybody want to say anything before I begin?
Did you say tashlich can be done until Wednesday?
What?
Did you say tashlich?
Tashlich. If you didn't do tashlich yet, you can do it until Hoshana Rabbah, which is Wednesday during the day. It has to be done before sunset, though.
Okay.
So do tashlich all the way till then. And yeah.
I want to say before you start the class that I really appreciate you having it today.
Oh, good.
I feel like all the stuff I could get before Simchas Torah is like, it's like I like the inner work. I don't know. It helps me so much. Thanks.
Okay, good. I also think like somebody canceled something that I do every week, and I felt, like we need the stuff that we do. We need the support that we have. We need the different stuff that we do. So anyway,
so I did want to say one little thing. This friend that I was talking to while I was coming late to the class cooking, she told me that she's like 76 or 77, and I didn't know that she was so inspired by the Rebbe. She became whether her parents are her father's German, her mother's from Cuba, but she started telling me how inspired she was and how her husband, she and her husband, whenever they're taking a long drive, that the Rebbe said you should stop every hour and get out and walk around. She told me a few things that she was very inspired by him. And we were discussing that didn't have children. She brought up he didn't have children. And you know what? If he had children, he wouldn't have been so available to be who he was. But I don't ever hear people talking about, it's hard for him. He didn't get to have children. And it's a hard thing. I don't have children. You don't have children. It's like, it's a very, very hard thing when everybody around you is having children and having babies and making brisim and bar mitzvahs and everything, and chasanas, and holding their babies and having their families, and you're sort of just, like, how did he have his dinners? Like, did he sit by the table with his wife alone? I'm just saying, like,
yeah. I'll tell you.
Meals, he was by himself.
You know when he had dinner? He had dinner, like his wife sent him with like some pound cake for breakfast, I think. And then he came back. He would talk after a day of work. He wouldn't go home for dinner. He would have audiences with people who waited months to talk to him. And sometimes those audiences lasted till 6 a.m. And he came back at 6 a.m. and his wife was up waiting for him. And she had dinner with him.
I thought that's what he did the whole day. He had audiences with people.
No. He learned. He took care of the Jews in Russia. He did a lot of things, and a lot of things. He taught, a lot of things. So,
what?
Like what?
No, you said he taught. You were going to say he taught, but you didn't.
No. He had he gave speeches. He organized. He had a whole network before.
Wait, you're talking about the Rebbe?
Yeah.
I think something distracted. Oh, could I add one thing really fast?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I remember like seeing pictures and videos. Oh, you could see me, okay. I remember seeing pictures and videos. Usually I'm not able to be on the camera. That the Rebbe would have these officials come and meet with him.
Yeah.
From all over, like senators, governors, prime ministers of all over the world, even like from other countries, like asking him advice. Yes. And he even had people he knew in Israel, is it called the cabinet or the parliament? I don't know. They have the group. They would ask him, should we do this? Should we do that? Man. Like he had, and he had like, I think they said he had a bank account of like millions, if not billions of dollars so he had a pull, like not for him, not his money, but he had influence over how this money was used to help people in this country and that country. So even on the physical level, he had an enormous amount of support and power. And he always used it for helping people and for bringing people together. I just wanted to add my 2 cents.
Thank you.
For example, one small example, which I'm sure I've said before, is I'll tell it very quickly, but when Shirley Chisholm was first elected as a congresswoman from Brooklyn, I guess Crown Heights was near her area or in her area, and she met with the Rebbe, and she was furious. She was so upset. It's a famous story. You can see it online. You can see her telling the story. She tells the story, and she was furious they placed. She thought she would be a great activist for urban rights, for inner city kids and stuff like that, and they didn't like the black woman. The powers that be. The white powers that be didn't like that a black woman had gotten this important position, and they put her on the agriculture committee, where this was not her area of interest at all. And she came and she talked to the Rebbe about it, and she was so upset about it. And the Rebbe said, he said it's not such a bad thing. He said, did you know that America discards millions and millions of dollars worth of produce each year in order to keep the prices at a normal level?
Oh my gosh.
He said, if you can reroute that food that's thrown out, that would have been thrown out, to the poor people, you will have done a great thing. And with that, the food stamp program took off. So and Shirley Chisholm, you can see her online saying, if we have such a flourishing food stamp program today, it's because there was a Brooklyn rabbi who cared about the poor all over the country.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, it's you can probably find it on YouTube. Herself telling the story. So anyway, tonight's topic is look for the love, and Sukkot is the time of Hashem's embrace for us, right? And probably Haskell Shimon said it last week, but the whole novelty of a sukkah is the wall. We know the schach is the little flimsy schach on the top of a sukkah represents the fact that it's not our our fantastic roofs in our homes that protect us, but it's Hashem who protects us. There's nothing else that protects us, only Hashem. If Hashem wants something to happen, it'll happen. If he doesn't, it won't happen. And as we see continually in this war in Israel, and the walls represent, as we know, the walls represent Hashem's embrace of us. And, the famous first grade Devar Torah, I tell it every year, that, and, like one wall, the sukkah represents a hug. And one wall is not a good hug. Even two walls is not a good hug. And the least hug you can have, I don't know how to get it on the camera, is at least one wall, two walls, and a little bit. That's the least you can have for a hug. But of course, four walls is the best hug. So, and what is the uniqueness of a hug? A hug is, as Haskell Schumann said last week, when you look at somebody with loving eyes, that's very, very nice. And when you kiss somebody, it's very, very nice. But when you hug them, what part are you hugging? You're hugging their back. And when you hug them, you can't even see their face. They can't see your face. And it's a message that I love all of you, even the parts of you that you don't know about, even the parts of you that you're unfamiliar with. You're back. And that's Hashem's love for us. Hashem has magnificent and incalculable love for us. So, but the trick is to tune into it. That's the trick, because we take for granted everything that we do have, and we're focused on everything that we don't have. So on Sukkot, the time of when Hashem is pouring His love down, it's the time to wake up and focus on the love. When I'm in a bad mood on Sukkot, and I think this Sukkot, for some reason, I've talked to various people, that it's a very small unscientific sampling, but people are struggling. They're struggling to feel Hashem's love. So, but even when you are struggling to feel Hashem's love, if you just sit down and think about it, you can come up with dozens of things He did that day, this very day, that are outpourings of love. So
I think it's the war that everyone's just like not.
Yes.
They're very nervous. Like what's going to
everybody's nervous. I agree, and we're so nervous because we know what happened last year, Simchas Torah, and Simchas Torah is approaching. And as Simchas, it's like as Simchas Torah approaches, it's like, why, Hashem? Isn't it over? Why?
Right.
And so, but still, we have to, obviously, we all know that Hashem has a plan, and we will love that plan in hindsight. We can't stand it in real time. But in hindsight, we're going to love everything that Hashem did, every single thing that Hashem did. So to bring ourselves to sanity, we have to just go over, wait a minute, Shlomo Yudas, what did Hashem do for you? Yeah? And there's a million things Hashem does for me every day. So there was I'm going to tell a little story from 1973. 1973 was the Yom Kippur War. And the Yom Kippur War, unlike some of the other wars, was a complete shock, complete surprise. And it was a complete surprise. I think the Rebbe had kids saying Pesukim, but I'm not sure. Maybe that was just 67. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. But anyway, to the Israelis, it came as a complete shock. And they were davening in shul. One advantage, a lot of people were in shul, so it was easy to collect the soldiers. So it was Yom Kippur. People were davening. It was Musaf time, and army tanks started pouring into the cities and coming to the shuls, and they ran right into the shuls, the generals, and they said, "We're at war. You got to come. Everybody every young man, every soldier, you've got to come now." And people ran out of the shuls. They ran out in the middle of Musaf, in the middle of Tefillah. They ran out. And they were wearing their Shabbos begadim. They're wearing their white Shabbos clothes, and Yom Kippur clothes. And many of them, back in '73, a lot of athletic wear were made out of leather, right? The stuff that we wear all the time, 24/7, sneakers. They had a lot of leather on them. So what did people used to wear? People used to wear slippers. to shul. It was very, very common in the 70s. And so people ran onto these big army tanks, big army trucks, wearing their kittel and slippers. That's how they went to war. And this guy, the story is about a guy named Mayor Freeman. And Mayor Freeman was a young husband and father. And he had been davening next to his father, and then his life changed. Now he's in this middle of this nightmare. And the war stretched on. It wasn't over in 2 minutes. And when it was Sukkot already, and he's like, and his Yiddishkeit meant a lot to him, and he was thinking, oh, what kind of Sukkot am I going to have? And I guess he must have written to his parents or called them and asked if there's any way that they could send him a lulav and esrog. And one day in the beginning towards the beginning of Sukkot, a package arrives for him. They call him. He comes. He gets it. He's so excited. It's a lulav and esrog, and he feels it. He's so excited. He takes it out. He feels the bumpy esrog, and he's like, ooh. And he makes a bracha. And he said that the kavanah he had in making that bracha was unlike the kavanah, unlike the intention, the focus that he had ever before in making a bracha. And when you say, Shehachianu, thank you Hashem for bringing me to this moment, to this time, it was with outstanding, feelings that he had. And for a second, he felt like a normal human being. And then he thought, wait a minute, well, why can't I do what I used to do? Like, he's a Chabadnik. Chabadniks, Chabadniks go around all Chol Hamoed with their lulav and esrog, asking people if they got a chance to shake the lulav and esrog yet. So he went over to his friends, and he said, yeah, why don't you do it? Let's do lulav and esrog. And they did. And then he went over to the commander of another unit, or a commander who was nearby, and he said, hey, look what I have. I have a lulav and esrog. You want to shake it? And the commander looked at him like he's going out of his mind. He said, what are you doing standing there? You could get shot. What are you crazy person? And he was like upset. But Meir could see that in wartime in Israel, maybe not anywhere else, but in wartime in Israel, when you're on the battlefield, even if you're a commander and the other one is a private, you're brothers because you're in this thing together and you love each other. So we saw the guy was angry, but there was a softness in his eyes anyway. So Meir thought, I'm not giving up. And he looked at me and said, come on, you can do this. It's a mitzvah. What else do we have to do? It's like this, it brings mazel anyway. And so the commander was irritated for a minute. He said, okay. And he called all his guys and said, hey, you guys, we're going to Meir's tank. Come, we're going to do something. And they all went over to Meir's tank. And the commander he took the lulav and esrog, and he made the bracha, and he started to shake them, and there was a huge boom. And everybody looked around, and the commander said, that was an Egyptian missile. And it landed exactly where everybody had been standing just a few minutes before. And the commander said, this little thing saved my life. He said, I'm never letting this little thing go. It's such a lucky thing for me. He said, tomorrow, if anybody wants to shake it, they have to come to me. Okay, Mayor? Because I'm not letting go of this little thing. It saved my life. So anyway, the war progressed. Weeks rolled past, and the Israelis had already gotten to the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal was extremely strategic in that battle. And it's the canal that borders Israel and Egypt. And on Chol Hamoed, it was very, very intense fighting. And all the guys were in trenches. They were laying in trenches. And everybody was very, very nervous. Meir had already lost a lot of his friends in battle. But Meir is apparently an irrepressible kind of person. And somehow he found a little bottle of wine in a cup. And he said, you guys, it's Shabbos Chol Hamoed. Let's go make Kiddush. Let's do something positive. And like people are looking at him like he's crazy. And a couple of his friends said, okay. He said, no, not okay. He said, I want all of you. I want all of you. Let's all go over to that. We don't have a table. We'll use that tank over there as a table. He said, I'm not going until all of you come. So they all came and they made, and he filled the cup and he made Kiddush and he said, Yom Hashishi. And you can guess what happened. Boom! Straight a bomb straight in the trench where everybody had been laying. And they said, Mayor, you saved our life a second time. It's cuckoo. And he said,
was their commander there also?
I don't think it was the same commander, but anyway.
Sorry.
So in the midst of battle, and all our lives to some extent are a battle. In the midst of battle, even people who seem like they're showered with blessing, it's a battle for everybody. It's a different battle, but almost everybody I know has some kind of battle, almost everybody I know. And so in the midst of battle, we have to stop and we have to do like Mary. We have to think, where am I? What am I doing? Who's behind me? Who's protecting me? And we have to reignite. If Hashem is pouring down his love on us, we have to pour love back to him. And we have to say, Ribono Shel Olam, I'm like this with you. I know that you love me, and I know that everything I need, you're going to give me. And I know you're with me right now. And as I say, I have to bring it up with this year's crew. But my favorite motto in first grade is stick to Hashem. And if you stick to Hashem, life is very, 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 is much more doable. So
you walk around, this is the motto, stick to Hashem.
I have a song. I can't sing it now. I could turn off the recording and sing yeah.
I was going to say,
sing it after. We can't wait.
Each of those things is like giving a gift to Hashem.
Each of what?
Benching lulav and
yes, it's like giving a kiss back to Hashem. Very good.
And Hashem returned the gift of saving their lives.
Yes, yeah.
Wow, yes. Very nice, Molly.
Okay, so I'm very nice. I'm going to turn off the recording, and if anybody has a brief question, because I still have to prepare for school, and so I'm going to sing the song. Turn off the recorder. Where's the recording? How does this? Let's go here. Okay, good. Okay, and good moed to anybody who's listening. Good moed. Good moed.
I want